In today's story, we follow James Carter, a successful CEO who decides to test how his dealership staff treats customers based on their appearance. What starts as a simple undercover visit quickly turns into a powerful lesson in respect and fairness. Watch as James uncovers the truth and makes a bold move that changes everything. In the heart of the city, nestled between towering skyscrapers and bustling streets, James Carter stood outside his car dealership. He had built this empire from the ground up, and yet today he wasn't here as the CEO. He was here as just another customer. James adjusted his simple gray t-shirt and worn jeans, taking a deep breath before entering. Inside, the showroom was pristine. The smell of fresh leather and coffee lingered in the air. Soft jazz music played in the background, while the click of polished shoes echoed off the marble floors. He paused by a sleek black sports car, running his fingers over its smooth surface. He wasn't in a rush. He had time to observe, but the employees seemed to be in no hurry to approach him. A young salesman, dressed in a crisp suit, glanced at him briefly, taking in James's casual attire, then quickly turned his attention to a couple walking through the door. James exhaled slowly. He had seen this behavior before. Initially, it was amusing, but as time ticked by and no one acknowledged his presence, that amusement faded. He leaned casually against a luxury sedan and waited. After a few more minutes, a sharply dressed man walked in, his appearance commanding attention. As he entered, the sales team instantly sprang into action. "Good afternoon, sir. Welcome. Can I offer you a glass of champagne? We have some fantastic new models just arrived in our VIP showroom." One of the sales reps greeted him with a smile. James couldn't help but observe the stark contrast in their behavior. The attention and warmth given to the suited man were worlds apart from the cold indifference he'd received. James stood still for a moment, feeling the tension building inside him. Then he decided it was time to test their true character. He walked up to the receptionist, a young woman with perfectly styled hair and a neutral expression. "Excuse me, could I speak with someone about purchasing a car?" he asked politely. Without looking up, she responded flatly, "Our sales reps are busy right now. If you're not here to make a serious purchase, you can wait outside." James felt his patience waning, but instead of reacting, he simply nodded, trying to remain calm. Another salesman, older with salt and pepper hair, approached. His name tag read, Paul. He eyed James's worn sneakers and gave him a condescending smile. "I think our pre-owned lot would be more suitable for you," Paul said. James met Paul's gaze without flinching. He could feel the judgment in the air, but he didn't let it show. He smiled tightly and said, "I'll think about it." Then, without another word, he turned and walked out of the showroom. Outside, James pulled out his phone and dialed a number. He only had to wait a few seconds before a calm voice answered on the other end. "What's going on, James?" the voice asked. "I need you here right now," James said, his tone steady, but there was an edge to it. "The staff needs a lesson in respect." The call ended, and James slipped the phone back into his pocket. The dealership remained as busy as ever, but for James, it was clear the test was far from over. About 10 minutes later, the sound of a luxury car pulling up outside broke the quiet. The unmistakable hum of a Rolls-Royce Phantom filled the air as it came to a stop. A tall man in a sharp charcoal gray suit stepped out, adjusting his cufflinks with ease. As he walked toward the entrance, every employee inside the showroom straightened up, suddenly alert. As he entered, the entire room fell silent. Employees moved quickly, rushing to greet him with exaggerated smiles and offers of service. James watched from the side, his arms crossed, unamused. James knew it was time. He wasn't going to let their obvious favoritism slide. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. As the suited man approached him, their eyes met, and the man smiled. "Good to see you, James," he said, his tone warm. The employees looked between them, clearly confused. The suited man nodded toward the staff. "I think you've all met my friend James Carter, owner of this dealership." The room went deathly quiet. James stood there, letting the awkwardness hang in the air for a moment before speaking. "So, this is how we treat people here?" His voice was calm but carried an undeniable weight. The staff scrambled to find words, but their excuses fell flat. "Sir, we didn't realize," one of them stammered. James wasn't interested in hearing their excuses. The damage is already done, he said, his tone colder now. You've all failed the test. David, the suited man, turned to the staff, his expression icy. Effective immediately, anyone involved in today's incident is terminated, he said, his voice carrying authority. The employees froze, their faces paling as they realized what was happening. Ron, the salesman who had dismissed James earlier, took a hesitant step forward. Wait, you can't do that, he protested weakly. David didn't flinch. We don't run a business based on biases here, he replied coldly. You're all here to serve, not to judge. The silence that followed was deafening. James looked at the staff, his gaze steady but filled with disappointment. Respect is free, he said softly. It doesn't cost a damn thing. If you can't respect people when you can't see their wealth, then you don't respect people at all. With that, James turned and walked out the door, leaving the dealership in a state of chaos. But for him, this wasn't his problem anymore. As he stepped into the bright sunlight, a young valet rushed forward. Sir, would you like me to bring your car around? The valet asked, his voice polite and respectful. James smiled faintly and nodded. Yes, please. But first, he said, pulling a $100 bill from his wallet, you handled yourself well today. Keep it up. The valet hesitated before accepting the money. Thank you, sir, he said, his eyes showing a mix of gratitude and respect. You're welcome, James replied, nodding as he got into the back of his black Mercedes Maybach. As he sat back in the luxurious interior, he glanced back at the dealership one last time. Sometimes lessons are learned the easy way, but sometimes they come at a cost. James knew this incident would make the staff think twice before ever judging another person based on their appearance. As the car drove away, James couldn't help but reflect on the day's events. The world would be a better place if everyone treated each other with respect, no matter who they were or what they looked like. The car sped down the road and the dealership behind him faded into the distance. James knew that this lesson, though painful, was one that would stick with the staff for a long time. If you believe respect should be given to everyone, drop a comment below and share your thoughts. And if you love stories like this, hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon for more. This is Unfolded, where the best lessons come from real moments like these.